Hey guys, it's your Auntie Mo here from Mo in the Deep End, and Netflix is at it again. Uh, we bring you Denzel Washington, who I really like. I really love him as an actor. I think he has incredibly intelligent and humble and just awesome things to say every time I have heard him speak. Just, very humble, very, just awesome guy. But Hannibal, let's pull up some Hannibal and show some Hannibal, pictures because I think we're going to run into a little bit of issues. So let's stop this screen and present share screen. Let's see. Google search for Hannibal. Now, if you see here, Hannibal seems to be a Phoenician or a Berber, more Arab, more Syrian looking man. This is from taken a recreation of what Hannibal Barca might have looked like, from a statue depiction of him. Another look. Uh, you know, the Carthaginians were a fairly non-inclusive society, if you will. So they didn't intermix as much as the Romans. So there wasn't the sort of intermingling, if you will, that would, take them from a Phoenician look, if you will, to a more intermingled look. Yes, again, Netflix, you really must stop. Now I am wondering if the country of Syria and or Libya will be taking issue with it. And again, Americans, there is a great big difference. I know that we have stopped teaching geography at any point and anything beyond, I think, pronouns and such. But there is a great big difference between Libya and, you know, in Africa, there's this giant desert. There is a There are ethnic and cultural differences between different places in Africa. Africa is not a collective, continent. It's very grating, very arrogant, and very unknowledgeable to just group it up as one big place and think it is one monoculture. It is not. Libya, it's a more of a Mediterranean, almost any hoozle. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not super de duper knowledgeable. So again, go watch Lotus Eaters. They are much smarter than me. They've done epochs on this. They've done historical, they geek out on all of this to a level that I don't. But any hoozle, Netflix is at it again. Share screen. Again, I love Denzel Washington. This is not a personal slight on him. He is an actor. He is doing a job. Everyone needs to work. But you would think that after Netflix was banned from an entire country, yeah, um, they already done like pissed off the entirety of Egypt. You think they'd stop this? You think they'd maybe just say, you know what? We get it. We get it. I'm still waiting for Nelson Mandela, played by Tom Hanks from Netflix. Because you know what? They seem to just be wanting to poke the bear with this stuff at this point, and I'm kind of hoping they have the brass kahunas or boobies, I don't care, the brass boobs to do that, Nelson Mandela, Tom Hanks. I'm just saying. But let's go into this. Denzel Washington will terrorize Rome as legendary general Hannibal Barca. Now, I might be mispronouncing this. Like I said, the Lotus Eaters are much more knowledgeable about this. I love the Lotus Eaters. They might not be your cup of tea. They tend to talk more about political stuff, but they do have wonderful history things. So that's just my little plug for them. Alrighty. There are countless movies about or set in the Roman Empire, but it sometimes feels like Hollywood forgot about Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general who terrorized Rome in his early years. Not anymore. Deadline reports that Denzel Washington is reteaming with director Anton Fuqua, Training Day and Equalizer 3, for the as yet untitled take on Hannibal's story for Netflix. Screenwriter John Logan, who was on the team that brought us Gladiator, rounds out an all star squad that should give any war movie fan goosebumps. Now, the one big thing that the Lotus Eaters, and I may have gotten the idea for this video shenanigan wise from them, but they know more of the history. Now, Hannibal, the actual Hannibal, was supposed to be much younger during the time that he antagonized the Roman Empire. He was about 25, 26 ish. And Denzel, for as wonderful as he looks, is in his mid 60s. So, again, if you are going to swap things out, this is another issue. And again, as I've said cajillion times already, I love Denzel Washington. I think he has a gravitas. I think he's a wonderful actor. I've loved nearly everything he's been in, but this is not even this seems to be a deliberate thumb in the nose, and if you say anything, then you're the bad person. It is so historically inaccurate, it's not funny, and again, it's just a deliberate, like, poking the bear kind of action, it seems. And I don't get it. I I don't get why I if you wanna tell this story, why don't we tell original, authentic stories that would bring history of things that we don't know? I would love to learn more about, you know, African culture or other cultures that I don't know about. Why are we retooling cultures? Anyhoozle, this is another story. Let's get back to the article. I'm trying to work on my squirrels, y'all. Working on my squirrels. And with good reason, Hannibal's story is so incredible, even the Romans admitted it. Imagine building a statue of your childhood bully in recognition of all the terrible ass kickings he delivered before you finally punched him in the face. Hannibal was a brilliant tactician. He studied the Romans. Just like when I said yesterday that Mr. Bin Laden studied the West, studied America, studied our mores to figure out where he could put little pokes in, where he could really drive his point in to try to, further his cause and speak in a language that would be palatable for the audience. He tried to tailor his approach to what we would find palatable. Now, I thought it was incoherent babble speak, but to some people, it was written in a language that spoke to them. He used their kind of language, their victim victor kind of thing, their oppressed and, oppressor kind of language. So it really does work if you understand who your opponent is. And Hannibal studied the Romans. He understood how organized, how militarized, how they operated. Sure, Rome's empire might have been one of the longest lived and most powerful empires in 5,000 years of recorded history, but it was so beaten and humiliated by Hannibal that Rome eventually built a statue for him. Centuries before the BC AD changeover, Rome and the North African city of Carthage engaged in a series of wars that spanned almost 80 years. There were three of these Punic Wars, named for the ancient Greek word for Phoenician, for which the people of Carthage were descended, each shorter than the one before it. They were so epic, literally and figuratively, that historians still pore over things like Fabian's strategy, double envelopment, and unified command, even at the U.S. Army War College. Back in 264 BC, Rome was a shadow of what it one day would become, and Carthage was the regional powerhouse. The two first went to war over control of Sicily that year. Now, Carthage, like I said, the little that I know, Carthage was very sort of lords and serfdoms. The two classes did not mix. Now, Rome was very much more inclusive. You could move up and down. I mean, not as it was not capitalist in the way you would think of it, but for its day, it was more inclusive, if you will. I mean, you had Roman emperors from all over the Roman Empire, whereas the Carthaginians, you did not have a leader in Carthage that was not Phoenician. You did not have intermarriage in the high houses, if you will. So Hannibal was Phoenician. He was not anything else. I'll leave it at that. Romans won control of the island and pressed north to invade North Africa. It was there that the two engaged in the Battle of Cape Economus, which featured almost 300,000 combatants, making it the largest naval battle in history by the number of troops involved. Carthage would sue for peace and pay reparations to end the war, but that's what led to Hannibal's rise. In 2021 BC, Carthaginian uh, Carthaginian general Hasdrubal, look, y'all, go to Lotus Eaters if you want to know how to say this right. I am simply going to highlight it. Viceroy of Iberia, what is today Spain, was assassinated, bringing his brother-in-law Hannibal Barca to prominence. The Second Punic War began after Hannibal, then 26-year-old, lay siege to the Roman ally city of Saguntum in Spain and sacked it. Rome demanded Hannibal be sent to Rome for punishment, and instead of that, they said, "Pound sand." In 2018, Hannibal famously crossed the Alps in 15 days with 20,000 troops, 6,000 cavalry, and some elephants. And those mountains were full of, well, Celts or Gauls. So kind of wild German wild men, kind of crazy guys, hill folk, if you will, hillbillies. We always have hill folk representation. There are always hill folk. And I can't imagine, you're just sitting there doing your hillbilly stuff, maybe making moonshine, talking to Granny, and all of a sudden come war elephants. The Second Punic War began after Hannibal, then 26 years old, laid siege to the Roman allied city. Oh, wait, there we go. Sorry, I was wrong. Uh, Rome's army had already gone into winter quarters, allowing Hannibal to absolutely crush every Roman force in northern Italy. What's worse for Rome was that Hannibal wasn't losing troops, but in fact gaining more of them as more Roman allies defected. The Second Punic War saw Hannibal deliver the worst defeat by any army against another in recorded history. The Battle of Cannae. Hannibal's troops killed either 70,000 to 80,000 of Rome's 86,000 soldiers, making it the most lethal day of warfare until World War I. Carthage kicked Romans' armies around for nearly a decade after Cannae. Excuse me. It wasn't until 2010 BC when Roman general Scipio began to turn the tide. And like I said, Denzel Washington has done a wonderful job being a soldier. I don't have a problem. But again, Hannibal was about this age, not this age. And he has aged beautifully. I am not making an ageist joke. But y'all, he's gonna need to run on with elephants. Can we just pretend to follow history for flip's sake? Scipio took the fight first to Carthaginian Iberia and then to Carthage itself. Carthage's allies began to defect as a large Roman army landed in North Africa. Hannibal was recalled to defend the city, met Scipio's army in Zama, and was soundly beaten by an inferior Roman force. Hannibal escaped, but Carthage would never be the same. Scipio earned the title Africanus after forcing Carthage into a humiliating peace that subjected the city-state to Roman oversight. Hannibal would eventually become a fugitive, attack Roman allies for different nations, and eventually unalive himself after being cornered by Roman troops. Despite his untimely end, he was so terrifying to the Romans that for centuries after his death, they would still shout, Hannibal ad portas. Hannibal is at the gates to describe emergency situations. Now that Denzel Washington, along with the creators who made Training Day and Gladiators, is turning the story into the movie, the rest of the world will learn why. No, they are, dear Lord, there's going to be women in this. They are going to have women soldiers because you know they are, because it's tick boxes. It's tick boxes. Hannibal's going to have a strong, independent warrior wife. You just watch. I can't, y'all. I can't. Netflix, stop it. You are already banned in Egypt. You are gonna be banned in Syria and Libya and Carthage. I'm just saying, stop it. Stop. Can we all just I mean, look, y'all, I am about done with this. I would I would love a Hannibal movie, but Netflix, unless you are willing to do this the other way around and, do Tom Hanks as Nelson Mandela, The Freedom Story, y'all need to slow your roll with this because 'cause I'm getting a little tired of it. Because it only works one way, so unless you have the brass cojones to do the other way, y'all need to stop. That's my 2 cents in it. I don't have a problem with Denzel, I don't have a problem with anything else, but we need to quit it. You're gonna get locked out of all the countries. Your play, though. I hope that you all are having a wonderful Monday, and I hope you haven't are watching Megan Fox's interview, with, one of the lawyers from Take Care of Maya, and you know what? Be very kind to yourself this holiday week. It is all the crazy, all the shenanigans, and I know everyone is working hard, or maybe you're not having a good time with your family. So, you know what? We are working on our little group having some stuff ready in case maybe your family isn't a safe space to be around this time of year. We're working on having some stuff so that you guys can have some stuff that day to have a little bit of a break. I hope that you are having a lovely Monday, and I will see you a little bit later for Nightly Newsy News. Have a great day. Bye, guys.